For over 35 years, the poor coordination and subsequent poor management of waste has posed a mounting threat to public health in Freetown.
Waste is any product, item, or part or instrument that has outlived its usefulness to the user, and it might be useful to other person, but for that person that first owns it or uses it, has covered that it has used its usefulness to him, it becomes a waste.
If it is left in the environment, in the immediate proximity of anyone, they're bound to interact with it and to suffer consequences as a result of that, because these materials have chemicals that have been processed and are no longer needed by the body, that are injurious, and also bacteria and other organisms that would not be consistent with living a healthy life.
Waste management is a major global challenge, and in Sierra Leone it's compounded by our high population growth, our rise in living standards, and our attitude towards our environment. Unfortunately, we still are not practicing good environmental waste management on a personal level.
The outbreak of cholera and subsequently Ebola in Sierra Leone drew everyone's attention to the state of public hygiene and sanitation, as thousands of citizens died from infectious diseases, largely because they lived in communities with poor waste management and sanitary facilities.
If waste, no matter the nature, if it's not properly managed, it becomes very, very harmful. It becomes very dangerous. And as you can see, it depends on the location again of the waste. If you are exposed to waste, take for example, you live where there's a high waste dump, or you live in an environment very close to a gutter that is heavily polluted, there's always a lot of bacterial emission, fugitive emissions that will pollute your breathing system. And this brings toxicity to your blood, and then it affects your health one way or the other.
The responsibility for environmental health has changed hands multiple times, leading to loss of institutional memory and a weakened drive. In 2012, the government, through the Freetown City Council, contracted the Masada Waste Management Company to manage and sanitize the 43 transit points in the municipality. To roll out door-to-door collection services to residents of the municipality. To manage the landfill for organized dumping and ultimately add value to the waste by converting, recycling, and reuse it.
Having the mandates such as this has helped us as a company to look at waste management, not just from a business standpoint, but from a public health standpoint, and what myself and my partner, Jibril Wilson, can add to sustainable waste management in Freetown, and to helping actually have a healthy environment for our people. So it's, as much as it's been a challenging one, but it's been also very rewarding.
Since Masada took over waste management in 2013, there has clearly been a significant improvement in the sanity of the transit points, waste collection generally, and the dump sites.
Witness the rising sun from Masada. Witness the rising sun from Masada.
You know, I say this, if you rate Masada based on its mandate, we're about 80–90%. We're doing amazing well based on its mandate. However, if you're rating Masada based on the needs of the municipality, we're about 10%, because we've realized, hindsight is 2020, that the mandate for Masada was not a comprehensive mandate as it relates to sanitation needs in the municipality. The mandate for Masada was as a result of what the previous Freetown waste management was doing. It was just really passing on what they were doing, and that was not a comprehensive situation.
Witness the rising sun from Masada. Witness the rising sun from Masada.
What is wrong with Freetown?
For be truthful, many things wrong with Freetown. I have to be plain, I have to be straightforward, I have a conscience. If I'm running a city and I know that things are wrong, I should not hide it. I should be able to say these things are wrong.
Listen.
Number one, Freetown in water problem. It's wrong with Freetown. Number two, dirty business at Freetown. Now, the most painful one, dirty. Number three, people cannot even take responsibility of their own environment. Number four, you have a system now where people and they brush with mangrove. You know what they call
Yeah.
mangrove swamp.
Yeah, they swamp. Yeah.
Inside the way fish,
Right.
and they lay their egg and burn them picking and everything. People in the wash and they reclaim their land and they build us and they can't host their way and they build at them places and they that's what we go refer to as host.
And then they get permits for building host, or they just build by themselves.
Honestly and truthfully, I don't know who side and they pull
Who side and they pull them permits.
But one thing we assure, when we've been to do with survey last year, most of the people will find out they get permits from the Ministry of Lands.
While progress may have been made in some areas, one only has to take a look at the infamous Samba Gutter, Suzanne's Bay, and the dump sites at Kisi and King Tom to be reminded that we still have a long way to go.
This dirty, where they up to in Hasso. We don't talk now, we don't try for where they left us to get the dirty in Hasso. People there, they're not agree. They don't get dirty in Hasso, we don't go make fence up there then to here. Then broke the fence. So the dirty don't flop in Hasso, say you don't fall down, you can't broke in Hasso.
We do have series of waste management and regulation. And basically regulation has to do with, looking at people's behavior and what action we could levy against them in the event that they default. For now, we have one that we refer to as the Public Health Ordinance, and that one is dated back as late as 1960. And the fines within these public health ordinances more or less obsolete. They are very, very much minimal, and they don't seem to be serving the purpose as I speak. But of recently, as 2010, the Freetown City Council put together some bylaws, and those ones, were ratified by Parliament, and those ones are enforced. And the specific one that is dealing with waste is the one we refer to as the statutory nuisance bylaws. And there are other policies, the waste management policy from the Ministry of Health and Sanitation, which also look at the procedure of handling waste. So generally we do have regulations, we do have policies, but as I said earlier, the issue of enforcement has been very challenging, in trying to implement some of these regulations.
Experts are concerned about the long-term public health consequences of managing wastes without proper synergy among the stakeholders.
The challenges really are that people, the average person, must take ownership of the waste that they generate. Okay, you cannot, create all this waste and expect for somebody or government to come and clean it up for you. Nowhere in the world is waste management just left to authorities. Everywhere in the world, people pay for their waste that they generate. So if the government, through the Freetown City Council, has been able to contract Masada to handle transit points, which in essence it's a subsidized service, people should use those transit points.
There are laws currently prohibiting these practices. but the responsibility of enforcing these laws rests largely beyond Masada's mandate.
One of the major challenges has to do with, the municipal court, because if you look, for example, if you look at the statutory nuisance bylaws, it clearly states that when a defaulter is apprehended, that person must be prosecuted. And if we are to prosecute a defaulter, then we must have a court. We have been working with the judiciary in this direction, but we still have some gray areas in trying to put this court and ensure that it's become functional.
Major obstacles in the fight to manage wastes efficiently has been the fragmented and uncoordinated approach to managing solid wastes. In an unprecedented move to find a lasting solution, major stakeholders in the sector are now coming together to set up a coordinating mechanism and systems to harmonize their policies and clarify their roles to harness and strengthen stakeholders' collaboration for sustainable waste management for the municipality by 2018. We must not sit anymore and await the next epidemic onslaught. We must arise together and turn back the tide. In the words of President Ernest Bai Koroma, failure is not an option.